I'm the True Wise Gamer, giving off my vast knowledge so you may understand games a bit better. PC gaming is a weird history for me. As a kid, I used to PC game a lot because I had my own PC, but that thing broke. It was kind of old. Anyway, I stuck to mostly consoles for a long ass while. Because, again, well, PC gaming is a little hard. So when I finally actually got my own PC, like my full PC that was meant for just me, then my experience of games exploded a lot. And that always did lead up to a good question. Was I ever going to cover some classic PC games? And the idea was yes. Of course I was. So that's why we're covering Max Payne. Though it's going to have an issue.
The problem is going to be that the game's a shooter, meaning it's going to actually be a little harder for me to review since it's not in my wheelhouse. RPGs are more my thing since they fit my more relaxed nature. A shooter is something I can enjoy, but fundamentally they just don't fit me well, and it's like an hour before I just can't play them anymore. But listen to me ramble on. Let's actually talk about Max Payne. You know Max Payne. I really don't need to explain it. He's video game's greatest icon, influencing the medium in certain ways. A few I don't care for, but hey, that's a whole other matter. There are still a lot of people out there who say that this game still holds up after all this time. Do I agree? Well, that's a bit to be decided on, but let's get into that.
So, let's dive into the pain of Max Payne. Yes, I did make that joke because it was funny.
The game begins with an intro on a frozen city, as it quickly zooms in on our main character, Max Payne, holding a rifle as he begins to actually reminisce on what the hell happened to him that led him here. It goes all the way back to 3 years ago. He pretty much had the American dream. A new family in a great neighborhood, great job, quit smoking too. But suddenly the Fire Nation attacked. Sorry, I had to put that joke in because I had the noir-esque narration happening while I was planning on doing it. But again, it hurt my fucking voice. I mean, it's also not helped with my dislike of noir-esque narration, since it's very verbose and really not how people talk or think, that it just really, really takes me out of it. I mean, if you like it, that's cool and all. And I mean, I can at least say it works here since it's more reminiscing on what happened, thus trying to give depth to a scene, since the game decided to use comic book-esque panels to tell most of the story, which is done in a style I swear on my life I've seen somewhere. It's just, they chose some weird-ass panels to just show the story, which baffled me completely because they are really awkward. I mean, seriously. Look at these panels and tell me what it says. I mean, if it weren't for these word panels, I wouldn't know what's going on entirely. And it's not helped with the overall subpar to just downright bad voice acting. I mean, some characters like this Italian guy is just funny. I can just say that mostly just everyone just gets bad performances. Yes, I know most of them were done by family, but why should that matter? We don't get that for other games, so why here? I would actually include Max in the somewhat good category, but at the same time, no, because when the actor's doing the serious noir stuff, it sounds fine. But anywhere else, it's like the voice director didn't ask for retakes of lines that really did need it. Actually, speaking on lines, there are also lines in game that I just can't hear due to being that the volume for the voices in the game are so low, I had to turn off everything else around me just to hear it better. And even then, not really.
And to be fair to the game, the only reason why I only point that shit out is because I actually did enjoy the game's story and the game. And I just thought these elements did genuinely take away from the overall experience. I mean, yeah, it has its flaws, but, they're more admissible. But we'll get into that more in a bit.
To actually give the game some praise, the game did go hardcore with actually killing Max's wife and child. Yeah, on-screen dead baby. I mean, you gotta give them the props for having the gut to actually show that outright. and the game doesn't ever glorify it, it just is a thing. But in any case, Max was never the same again, deciding to join the DEA to find the source of the new drug on the street, Valkyr, while also going undercover for the last 3 years. On a cold night, Alex, his partner, decides to check up on him, but today was not a really good day, as he's quickly shot from behind by someone who we won't find out till later who it is. After escaping the subway, he learns that he's being framed for the murder of his partner, and now it's up to Max to find out what the heck is going on. Because it goes weirdly into the weird occult stuff for some reason, which the game will just throw out after a bit. Yeah, I don't know why. And honestly, thinking about it, if it was entirely removed, I don't think the game would have lost anything in particular. I mean, like, it had nothing really to do with the plot much, thus I asked why it's here. I mean, like, to give it another example of the plot just doing something and not really doing anything with it, there's a plot to kill the mayor, but it doesn't matter, and he was also paid in ones for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, back on the plot, Max goes through his way through most of the Italian mafia who has ties to Valkyr production. But it leads him nowhere until Mona Sack tell him to just, go for the boss. So after the advice, Mona then decides to just drug us. Why, you ask? It's so that we don't kill Lisa on accident. Who's Lisa? Oh, it's Mona's sister and also wife of the Don, so, Though thinking about it now, I can actually see the reasoning. It's mostly just so that Max wouldn't kill her, because Max in this game is a bit kill crazy, for lack of a better term. And also, not being very accurate in this game. Speaking on that, let's actually talk about the gameplay. As I mentioned earlier, this game's a shooter, a third-person shooter to be more particular. Though it strangely has elements that are not usually normal for most shooters I've seen. For one, the game has an odd way of shooting. Instead of a crosshair, which it does have, it's more of an ideal location of where you're aiming. But more times than not, it's not gonna hit there. It's actually more like this big cone, where bullets will fly wherever they want, making it hard to actually deal damage. I honestly wouldn't have an issue with it if it was more honest with what it was doing, since, that's how they actually work. I mean, like, it wouldn't help with the actual damage of the weapon, but you get my point. Like, to give an example of, how weird the damage works, I can shotgun a guy in front of me and instantly kill him. Next time around, it suddenly doesn't work and I just get one-shotted. Though ironically, this works both ways, as the enemies will do the same thing, as there's no real particular standard damage. Like, I can get hit with a bullet and die, but the next time I get hit with something, I'm fine. It's also not helped with the haphazard placement of enemies that could be just at a corner ready to shoot you dead with some other enemies prepared to shoot you as well. Most times than not, this is just dickish design, and I have no idea why they thought this was good to begin with. Because I only bring it up because, for the most part, the level design is fine. Again, I'm not entirely sure because this is not my forte. I think overall the level design is decent enough. I think if I had to choose my favorite level, it would be the government building. That's mostly because of the tougher soldier enemies that actually use strategy to try to take you down, and it's really effective, where, I felt the deaths were the least cheap. It had the best variety of weapons as well, since you also get a good weapon in that level, with also a good spread of painkillers throughout the level, just so you're not feeling like, oh god, I need more health. Yeah, instead of regenerating your health normally, you actually use painkillers throughout the level, just to, heal. And I really have to ask, who the hell is leaving all these painkillers on the floor? Why not some just, medkits? Come on! Though then again, you can argue that it ties in with the other mechanic that I haven't really got into yet. That being the bullet time mechanic that it popularized. Basically, it's in the name. You press a button and you slow down the world around you and try to aim at foes while more easily dodging bullets. It is a fun mechanic and helpful in certain sections, though I'll be honest that I didn't use it much due to me not rebinding the keys, which yeah, I'll admit it's kind of my fault for not doing that, since I just have an issue with changing controls in a game that the developer should have just had it at. I mean, if you're ever playing this game, just rebind bullet time to the right button only so it can be used more effectively, since it's more tied to the dodge button, making it kinda more harder to do. And I mean, like, you would rather want to be able to just move and shoot while not dodging, because sometimes dodging makes you have to go to the ground, causing you to just waste time getting back up, which would be just better off used to just, shoot. And speaking on shooting, I haven't even actually talked about the weapons in the game. I mean, even with the weird aiming, shooting feels fine enough, and it does make you feel like Max, who's on the edge, trying to get any advantage he has, which is pretty good. So I can say that at least. Though it's not helped with the weapons mostly all sucking. Like overall, like only a good chunk of them are actually useful. Like for example, you'll notice me early on using the shotgun in the early part. Yeah, it was bad. I mean, like, your brain's automatically thinking that a shotgun is overall going to be a better weapon, but for some strange reason it's not. Ironically, the Uzi is actually a good weapon since it can fire so many bullets at once that you'll likely kill something, at least. This goes back to what I was mentioning earlier about weird damage, cause again, I really don't know what the standard of damage is. I mean, placement of where the bullet is hitting does matter at least, but as I explained earlier, aiming is a crapshoot at best. You would actually think that the dual handguns would actually be more useful, but somehow they're even more useless because they just fire wherever they want. There's also melee in the game, which I'm just confused on why it's in the game because it's so bad. Like, dude, its removal would not have been missed, and honestly, when you're forced to use a bat at a certain level, it's just bad. Though ironically, that same level, it actually taught me the value of using the Uzi, so mulligan at least. I want to just mention again, or at least mention it more, that I did have fun playing it. It's just that these small elements just get in the way of me fully loving the game. Because it does make you feel like Mac on a suicide mission, basically against all odds. Even with a lot of the bullshit and having to use quick save a lot. Oh yeah, while I'm on that, I am using the PC version, which I really do have a bone to pick with this version, because why is the PC version just bugged? For those who don't know, the PC version sound is just bug. That means you won't be able to actually hear anything, except just noises. That's it. And you have to mod the game just to make it work, which is just unacceptable. I think at this point it's better just to go back to the main plot now. After being drugged and killing some more Italian mafia members, the Russian mafia decides to use this entire situation to their advantage. Basically, Vladimir offers to just give you some guns if you help him recover his ship. This is also where you get the rifle, which will become more important later. With the guns, he basically then just drops us out at the mansion, and we just go guns a-blazing in there. Then something weird happens, as we get introduced to a group of suits, who just straight up kill the Don, then surround us as a woman just injects Max with the drug, and they just leave him. Wait, what? So instead of the logical move of just injecting him, shooting him, and just setting the place on fire, they just inject him and set it on fire. It's just odd, because the game later on makes her kind of more prepared than anyone else in the game, so it's like, what the hell? I mean, in our drugged out old mind, we went to a Valkyr production site, which has an automatic self-destruct if it's breached. And you're telling me this person didn't just want to shoot Max? And why she didn't just use the Colt Commando, I'll never know, because it's literally the best weapon in the game, and you'll most likely kill anyone with a full clip. But anyway, let's go back a bit. That base I'm talking about, this is where the game begins to actually explain what's been going on. So basically, Valkyr was actually a drug made to help improve soldier stamina on the battlefield, but it never did work out, and was just scrapped. But not before it was leaked. And I mean, this is weird because there was a way to make a satisfactory answer, but in a moment. Because it then decides to overcomplicate it even more. That somehow includes a secret group that has involvement but can't do anything against the CEO of Aesir who's making the drug now, since she has dirt on them. So they want Max to do it, but then her agents show up and kill them all, except him, since he staged it so that Max would do it without their backing and make it so that they can wipe their hands clean of this afterward. But honestly, there was no need to include this group in the game since they could have easily written this away, because instead of a Shadow Cabal group, they could have just made it a CIA group that basically that is being blackmailed by Aesir since her company actually made the drug, And plus, this being some secret stuff, they wouldn't want to be leaked out, so they just reach out to Max and say, hey, you kill her, we'll sort this whole thing out for you afterward. There, done! Now you have something that actually makes sense. Then a shadow cabal. I can only assume the weird sidetrack the plot does at times. It's just that the script wasn't finished yet and just had so much rework that they just had to throw it all in. Sorry about that little tangent there. It just felt really annoying, okay? And I don't want to seem like I'm being mean to the script, because overall, it's still good. Like, if it was just reworked, which is ironic because I'm making this video after the announcement of the Max Payne remake. So, there you go. Because I actually want to talk about the main character for a moment. Max, in some regard, is a dead character walking. In both the literal case where he's in constant pain and the painkillers are really just stemming the pain, which actually affects his perception, which is actually a good way to excuse the time shift powers, which is actually some good ludonarrative cohesion. I mean, like, that's some high praise right there. But I also mean that in the figurative sense, since he just doesn't care anymore. He's just wanting it to end. One can even say that the day his family died, he died too. Not even caring anymore about what he's doing, just that he is doing it. During certain moments, he goes on about the reasons of the killing not even mattering anymore, they just happen. And even if they were justice, it really wasn't. I mean, it's really interesting for a character to actually keep doing something and yet still think about knowing that what they're doing is wrong, but just not caring anymore. And this is really where I'm okay with the noir stuff, and it really works, because he's self-reflecting, again, which is how I usually am okay with it. Anyway, let's talk about the ending. At the top, he finally learns what the hell happened with his family. Basically, the CEO ordered a kill order on Max's wife, since she was getting too close to the truth. Also put a kill order on the baby for some reason? Why? After a slog of battles, because at this point, this is where the game gets a little too repetitive for its own liking. She tries to escape with a helicopter, though we have no actual weapons to actually, harm a helicopter. This is actually something that got on my nerves because I had no idea how to actually finish this. You're supposed to use the rifle to shoot the tower's supports so that it would fall on it. How the hell I'm supposed to know that is beyond me because the game never even tells you can't even do that. But whatever, we shoot the tower a bit as it falls on her, crashing down to the floor. As it ends where we just started. As we also see the secret group guy just smugly smile, asks us Max that the game just straight up ends. Wait, what? I really have to scratch my head as this ending makes no sense. Dude, you got arrested with the evidence on you, not somewhere secure. Oh yeah, let me explain. Max earlier in an earlier level basically got some evidence showing that Shadow Cabal group thing. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, my point is being, they can easily just shovel that evidence away and your leverage disappears. Bam, you're in jail. He gets away with it. The hell? This is only an issue because they have no explanation of how Max gets out of this at all. What's worse is that there's a simple way to get out of this. The Russian Mafia and Mona Sachs. See, Mona Sachs was sent to kill us, but after killing the Don, she just lets us leave. But not before getting shot and leaving. How about instead of her just getting shot, she just decides to leave, and we just give her the tape, with Max asking her to just give it to Vladimir and say, find the man in the tape and persuade him to help him out. There, you have the easiest way out without it feeling forced. And I mean, I know why it ended like this, since they actually never considered to making a sequel, but only did so after Rockstar bought the IP and helped worked on it for money for another project. I don't remember where I heard that, but I know it was from someone.
And that was Max Payne. While overall I had my issues, I do want to repeat, I had fun, and I do recommend it to others. It's just that, the plot is kinda stupid at times, with an unfocused direction at times. But overall, the writing did do its job. It got me to care about the main character and his journey. The gameplay, while a bit unbalanced, was still enjoyable and worth the try. So, do give it a try. Though with the mod, of course. next time we're doing an RPG. A very long RPG, and, well, it left me blue. Very, very blue.